The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius. Here's the hook, my friends. You don't need games, drama, or a highlight reel of fake happiness. Real power is quiet. Real power is the moment you stop explaining yourself and start living by your standards. That's when regret, if it comes, knocks on their door, not yours. Before we dive in, hit the like button and subscribe so we can keep building this strong, stoic community together. Hey folks, imagine this. You're a lighthouse on a stormy coast. Ships blare their horns, waves slam the rocks, thunder shakes the sky. But the lighthouse doesn't shout at storms. It just stands, steady, bright, useful. That's detachment without games. You don't fight the weather, you master your foundation. Another picture. Think of your life as a bank account. Every message, every argument, every late-night panic call, withdrawals. But when you set standards, you start making deposits. Sleep, training, deep work, peace. One day the balance flips, and suddenly you're rich in the only currency that matters, self-respect. Let's break a few lies today. Lie number 1. If I explain it perfectly, they'll finally understand. No, my friends. Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." If someone believes your value is optional, your essay won't convert them. Your absence might. Lie number 2. Silence is petty. Wrong. Silence is policy. When you stop rewarding chaos with attention, you end the game without playing it. Lie number 3. If I don't chase, I'll lose them. Maybe. But if chasing is the only glue holding this together, what you lose is a loop, not love. Now, a little fun because we need to breathe. You know those car alarms that scream for hours and nobody does anything? That's what endless arguing sounds like to your soul. Be the new model, quiet, efficient, keyless entry. You don't need to prove the car works. You just drive it better than anyone expected. Dark psychology gives us the label for why this works. Loss aversion. People value what they can't freely access. When your presence is everywhere, it feels like air. Necessary, yes, but unnoticed. When your presence is earned, it becomes oxygen in a sealed room. Scarcity with integrity creates respect without speech. And no, we're not playing cold and hot games. We're doing something braver, choosing standards. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." The bravery is boring, not texting back at midnight, not bargaining with disrespect, not breaking your sleep for someone who breaks your peace. My friends, you are not a subscription that auto-renews. You are invitation only. You are a calendar with limited slots. You are a gym that requires discipline at the door. Your life gets better the moment you stop giving discounts on your access. Watch what happens when you show up for yourself. Your body steadies, your mind sharpens, your spirit quiets. And funny enough, that's when the messages arrive. Hey, you good? Can we talk? Maybe, maybe not. Because the goal isn't their return, it's your return to yourself. So here's our path today. We detach without games, we set clear boundaries, we redirect energy into mission, and we live in a way that needs no announcement. You don't force regret, you allow it, by becoming someone they can't reach as easily as before, not because you're cruel, but because you're committed. Stay with me, because we're about to stack simple moves that change everything, and you'll feel lighter by the end of this. Type this in the comments to lock it in. Strong, calm, free. Tap like, hit subscribe, and stay with me. Number 1. They only learn when access ends. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. Here's where it hits hard, my friends. They don't learn when you send longer messages. They learn when you send fewer. They don't learn when you escalate the debate. They learn when you end the debate. They don't learn when you perform your value. They learn when your value is no longer available on demand. Imagine your life like a premium theatre with limited seats and a strict start time. For months, you kept the doors open, lights on, tickets free. People wandered in and out, talking over the film, taking calls, treating your effort like background noise. But one night, you flip the sign to sold out, close the doors at showtime, and start the reel without them. That's when they run to the entrance. That's when they press their faces to the glass. That's when they realize the price was your presence, and it's not infinite. You might be thinking, but won't they just move on? Maybe. But ask the deeper question. If your worth can only be seen when you beg for it, is that worth, or is it approval addiction? If they needed you to argue in circles to feel you, maybe they weren't feeling you, they were feeding off access. If they needed you constantly available to believe you care, maybe they never wanted care, they wanted control. And here's the quiet truth. Stoicism hands you like a compass. You don't control whether they learn, you only control whether you teach. When access ends, the lesson begins, not for revenge, but for reality. Think of your attention like water in a desert. When you pour it everywhere, the ground stays muddy and no plant takes root. When you irrigate intentionally, training, work, recovery, purpose, life grows. Detachment without games is irrigation for your future. No dramatic speeches, no cryptic posts, no jealousy theatre. Just a clean redirect of energy from people who take you for granted to a mission that cannot afford your absence. Let's break the first lie. If I don't explain it, they'll never understand. Epictetus reminds us, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. If they already know, you'll always be there. Your explanation reinforces the illusion. Your silence challenges it. The second lie, silence is manipulation, number. Silence is a boundary when words have been exhausted. Manipulation is giving attention with hooks and bait. Discipline is ending the loop with clarity and then letting time do the talking. The third lie, if I stop engaging, I'm weak. Seneca cuts through this. He who is brave is free. Bravery is not shouting louder. Bravery is leaving the stage when the play has become a farce and refusing to sell your piece for applause. Why is this so hard? Because your nervous system is trained for reassurance. You want to fix the feeling by fixing their view of you, but that is a trap. You can't regulate your anxiety by controlling another person's perception. You regulate your anxiety by stewarding your inputs, food, sleep, training, work, spiritual practice, the quality of conversations you allow. It's tough to walk away because your mind whispers, what if they replace me? What if I'm forgotten? Here's the counterweight. You're not replaceable to the life you are building. You are essential to the standards you're installing. And you will be remembered most in the silence that revealed you had a line and finally stood on it. Picture your value like a rare book in a library. As long as it sits on the free loan shelf, it gets dog-eared, highlighted, bent. When it's moved behind glass, people put on gloves. They stand up straighter, they read slowly. It's the same paper, the same words, but a new policy created a new posture. You don't beg for respect. You design conditions where respect is the only way forward. That design looks like this internally. I respond when it serves truth. I withdraw when it funds chaos. I will not be enlisted into loops that deny my peace. No speeches about it, just consistency. Over days, weeks and months, consistency becomes your quiet reputation. They'll say, he doesn't argue, he decides. Ask yourself the questions that matter. What have I taught people to expect from me? Have I trained them to believe that emergency logic can interrupt my life at any hour? Have I taught them that tears, anger, or silence can purchase my attention at a discount? Have I proved again and again that my standards are flexible when feelings run high? If the answer is yes, you can change the class mid-semester. You can set the new syllabus today. My availability is earned, my access is limited, and my attention is the highest currency I own. That's not cruelty. That's stewardship. Dark psychology gives us names that help: loss aversion and the contrast effect. When access ends, loss aversion wakes up. The human mind clings harder to what it fears losing than to what it casually gains. When you stop being omnipresent, contrast kicks in. Past you, always on and explain everything, versus present you, calm, focused, busy building. That contrast is loud without being loud. It creates questions in them that no speech of yours could produce. Why aren't they reacting? Why don't they bite on bait? Who are they becoming if they don't need this conversation to feel whole? Those questions echo in the empty spaces your silence used to fill. But let's talk about fear, because fear is the reason most never do this. You're afraid of being misunderstood. You're afraid of being called cold. You're afraid of losing a chapter that once felt like home. Here is the reframe: being misunderstood by others is the tuition for being understood by yourself. Being called cold by people who benefited from your overgiving is the receipt for finally heating your own life. Losing a chapter is not losing the story, it's honoring the plot. And the plot is, you become a man whose peace is expensive and whose presence is earned. There will be moments when the urge to explain surges like a wave. Breathe. Let it crash on the shore of your new policy. Remember the lighthouse. It never argued with the sea. It kept the light. You keep the light through actions that make the old pattern impossible. You go to bed when your body needs it, not when a loop wants it. You lift the weight that is yours to lift, not the emotions someone tosses at you to carry. You write down your standard and sign it, because a contract with yourself ends debates with the world. If they test the boundary, and they will, your calm is the whole message. I'm not available for circular conversations. If there's a real change to discuss, bring it with actions. No sarcasm, no venom, no performative rage, just the velvet rope. Some will walk away. That's fine. Some will step up. That's better. But the most important result is not their choice. It's yours. You will have finally chosen your peace without an ounce of theatre. And that choice will show on your face, in your calendar, in your results. Close your eyes for a second and see the version of you 6 months from now if access genuinely ends for those who mishandled it. See the mornings that start on time. See the training that sticks. See the work that compounds. See the friendships that deepen because you're no longer split in a dozen directions. That is not fantasy. That is policy enforced over time. And if, somewhere out there, regret knocks on their door, that's not your business. Your business is the life that made such regret possible. We're not done. Next, we move from ending access to installing silence as policy. No games, no punishment. Just the kind of quiet that ends the old economy of drama and funds the new economy of growth. Stay with me, because the next shift will make relapses far less likely and your peace far more predictable. Type this in the comments to lock it in. I protect access. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that your life is invitation only now, and the invitation is earned. Number 3, the boundary stack. Access, time, attention. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Epictetus. Here's where the theory becomes architecture, my friends. Detachment without games needs walls, doors, and schedules, what I call the boundary stack. access, time, and attention. Think of your life like a high-performance facility. Before, it was an open field. Anyone could stroll in at midnight, flip the breakers, blast the speakers, and call it a conversation. Now you're upgrading to a secured campus, a front gate, access, business hours, time, and room reservations, attention. You're not being cold, you're being clear. And clarity is compassion. To yourself first, to others second. Start with access. Access is the front gate. Who can reach you and where? Right now, your energy leaks through too many doors. Texts, DMs, late-night calls, surprise visits, mutual friend relays, accidental story views. That isn't connection. That's a maze. Close the extra doors. Pick one adult channel for essential communication and shut down the rest. Remove their ability to pull you into 10 places where you can be baited. But won't they be offended? They might be. People mistake omnipresence for love when what they really needed was boundaries for safety. Your gate doesn't say, go away. It says, enter with purpose. Museums don't unlock after hours for people who pound on glass. They open to those who arrive during visiting hours with respect. Next is time, the business hours. You teach people how to treat your calendar. If your phone is a slot machine that rings at 1:14 a.m. and you pull the lever, you've trained your body to prize adrenaline over rest, and you've trained them to prize disruption over order. Set windows or set none. I'm not available for real-time conversation after 8 p.m. We can schedule a call tomorrow at 6. That sentence isn't war, it's weather. It's the new climate for your life. And yes, the first week will feel awkward because your nervous system has a memory for emergencies. But the second week will feel calmer. By the third, you'll wonder why you ever lived on the edge of someone else's impulse. Then comes attention, the room reservations. This is where most break. You pick up every topic they throw, accusations, recycled grievances, guilt trips, rewritten history. You can be available and still refuse nonsense. I'm not available for circular conversations. If you have a concrete boundary to propose, a behavior to change, or a plan to repair, write it clearly, and we can talk at the time we set. That's not stonewalling. That's agenda setting. The old you let them dump emotions on your carpet and then apologized for the stain. The new you asks, is this a solvable topic? If not, we won't host it. Watch how that single filter restores oxygen to your day. Let's drop a few lies on the table and break them clean. Lie 1. Boundaries are controlling. No, boundaries control you, not them. A gate controls your traffic, not your neighbor's car. You're setting rules for your property so you can live well on it. Lie 2. If I put limits on access, I'll lose them. If limits cost you the relationship, you didn't lose a relationship. You lost a leaky container that only survived on panic. Lie 3. Real love is 24/7 availability. Real love is reliability inside agreed-upon structure. A hospital saves lives because it has protocols. A runway lands planes because it has sequencing. Your peace needs the same. Think in metaphors you can remember at 2 a.m. Access is the gate code. You don't hand it out to anyone who jiggles the handle. Time is the open sign. You flip it during hours you can show up well. Attention is the meeting agenda. No agenda, no meeting. Or try this. Access is your data plan. Time is your battery. Attention is your screen. You protect all three, or your system dies by noon. Expect resistance, but notice who resists. The ones who benefited from your lack of structure will call you rigid. The ones who love you will adapt. And here's the hidden gift. Your stack helps them become better too. When people can't explode into your night with a paragraph, they learn to think in proposals. When they can't reach you on 7 platforms, they pick one and write like an adult. When they can't hijack topics, They choose honesty or silence. Either outcome is clarity, and clarity saves years. Practical runbook for the next 30 days. Pick one channel for essential talk. Set 2 daily windows for communication. Filter topics to solutions only. Write it down so your body knows it's real. For 30 days, I answer on Signal between 12 and 1 p.m. and 6 and 6:30 p.m. I don't respond to blame, bait, or loops. I schedule discussions that include the issue, my boundary, the requested behavior, and a next check-in. If they say, "We need to talk now," your line is calm and repeatable. "Not now." Tomorrow at 6 with a clear topic. They escalate. You de-escalate with exit. They accuse. You refuse the class. They ask respectfully. You meet them with structure, not sweat. You may be asking, why is this so hard for me? Because your old identity was a firefighter, always sprinting into other people's burning rooms with a cup of water and a speech. It felt noble. It cost you your lungs. The boundary stack is your oxygen mask. It's the adult decision to breathe first and engage only when the conditions can sustain life for both of you. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be wooden. It asks you to be well governed. Marcus said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Add this, if it is not scheduled, it is not sustainable. Here's a small miracle that happens when the stack holds. The right people lean in. They show up at the gate with a clear ask. They respect your hours and your health. They bring topics that can be solved. And the wrong people, bless them, find another carnival. That's not cruelty. That's ecosystem balance. Your life is no longer a free-for-all. It's a cultivated garden. Not everyone gets to plant. Not everyone gets to harvest. But anyone willing to learn the tools can work the soil beside you. Close your eyes and see 30 days of this in motion. Fewer late-night spikes, more mornings you own. Fewer circular texts, more linear progress. Fewer apologies for lines you never drew, more gratitude for lines that keep you free. That's not fantasy. That's what happens when access, time, and attention stop being giveaways and start being governance. We're about to stack one more layer, scarcity with integrity, so your presence becomes rare in the right way and never reactive. Stay with me. This next move turns your boundaries into value that speaks without a speech. Type this to lock it in. Access, time, attention. Show them, show yourself, show the world that your life runs on standards now, and standards don't bargain. Number 4. Scarcity with integrity. Rare, not reactive. Learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference. Marcus Aurelius. Here's the hard edge, my friends. Scarcity works because noise dies where standards live. But we're not playing hot and cold mind games. We're not breadcrumbing, ghosting, or manufacturing jealousy. That's counterfeit scarcity, cheap and obvious. Scarcity with integrity is different. It's not a tactic, it's a lifestyle. You become rare because you're busy building. You become selective because your peace has a price. You become hard to reach because you're finally reaching higher. Picture this. Your life used to be a free buffet. Open doors, endless servings of your attention, zero check-in on cost. People stuffed their plates with your time, picked at your kindness, and left their mess for you to clean. Scarcity with integrity is the moment you shut the buffet and open a reservation-only kitchen. Fewer tables, curated menu, clear hours, standards in the kitchen. You didn't become cruel, you became craft. The food tastes better, the room is calmer, and the people who value excellence still find a seat. The grazers wander off looking for another free spread. Good. You might be thinking, but won't they accuse me of playing games? People who thrive on unlimited access will call boundaries games because it feels like loss. Dark psychology gives it a name: loss aversion. When you remove on-demand attention, the brain interprets it as danger. Let it. Your job isn't to rescue grown adults from the feeling of losing a discount. Your job is to keep the price of your presence honest. Scarcity with integrity means your calendar reflects your values, not your impulses. It means you don't respond instantly because instant is for alarms, not for adults. It means your availability shrinks in direct proportion to your mission growing. Let's break the lies. Lie 1. If I make myself scarce, I'm manipulating. Manipulation is performing an absence to provoke a reaction. Integrity is living a life that naturally limits access. You don't vanish to make them chase. You're training, reading, building, sleeping, and protecting your bandwidth. Lie 2. If I'm not always there, they'll forget me. That fear is a relic of overgiving. If your only value was volume, how much attention you poured, then yes, scarcity feels fatal. But your true value is quality, your steadiness, your clarity, your standards. Scarcity turns the spotlight from quantity to quality, and quality doesn't fear space. Lie 3. Being rare is arrogance. No, arrogance is demanding special treatment. Scarcity with integrity is demanding structure. It's humility with a calendar. Why is this difficult? Because your nervous system is addicted to being needed. Constant replies felt like proof of worth. A buzzing phone felt like belonging, but belonging that requires self-abandonment is just sophisticated loneliness. The first week of scarcity will feel like withdrawal. Fewer pings, longer stretches of quiet, old urges to check in or just clarify. Breathe. This is the sound of your life switching from attention economy to value economy. In the attention economy, drama pays. In the value economy, results pay. Use metaphors you can carry. You are not a convenience store, open 24/7 for anyone stumbling in at 2 a.m. You are a craftsman's studio, tools in place, hours respected, work measured. Or this one, your attention is not tap water, it's spring water. It needs distance, filtration, and pressure to become what it is. When you give it to everything, it tastes like nothing. When you reserve it for what honors it, everyone notices the difference. Practical shifts that make scarcity real without turning you into a statue. Extend your response horizon. If you used to reply in minutes, move to hours. Deliberately, not punitively. Build fixed windows where you communicate with focus, then close the ledger and return to work. Replace impulsive scrolling with purposeful reps. Training sets, pages read, business tasks completed, quiet time logged. Track it. The metrics you honor will multiply. And here's a quiet secret. When your day has weight, you stop floating toward old storms. Expect tests. So you think you're too busy now? Wow, it must be nice to ignore people. Smile. Scarcity with integrity is indifferent to provocation. If someone approaches with a genuine topic and respect for your hours, you meet them with warmth and structure. If they bring entitlement, you meet them with the velvet rope. Remember Epictetus. If someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself. They are training your character for you. Your restraint is practice. Your patience is your posture. Your standards are the teacher. The contrast effect will do quiet work in the background. Past you was everywhere, always online, always explaining, always available. Present you is someplace, on the track, under the bar, at the desk, asleep on time. The mind compares, the mind wonders, the mind reprices your presence. That's the point, repricing, not punishing. When your presence costs more, people either pay with respect or they leave with stories. Both outcomes protect your future. Let's name the mission so your scarcity isn't hollow. Choose one physical target, miles, lifts, or flexibility, one mental target, skill acquisition with milestones, one financial target, income skill, product or debt kill, and one spiritual target, stillness, prayer, journaling. Put them on the wall. Scarcity without mission becomes moodiness. Scarcity with mission becomes momentum. And momentum is magnetic, not to everyone, but to the right ones. A quick word to the fear of being forgotten. You cannot be forgotten by the life you actively build. You can only be forgotten by the chaos you no longer find. That's not loss, that's liberation. The right people will adapt to your new weight. The wrong ones will go somewhere lighter. Either way, you stop sinking. Now, zoom 6 months ahead. Fewer pings, more presence. Fewer emergency calls, more scheduled solutions. Fewer apologies for overextending, more gratitude for sleeping like a human. Your days become stacked bricks. Your weeks become walls. Your months become a fortress that doesn't need to shout. Inside that calm, you hear your real priorities speak up, and you finally have the bandwidth to listen. Next, we shift from rare presence to purpose transfer, moving your energy from rumination to construction, so your life speaks louder than any exit ever could. Stay with me. The next move makes your scarcity unmistakably productive. Type this to lock it in, rare with integrity. Show them, show yourself, show the world that your time isn't a giveaway and your standards aren't on sale. Number 5. Purpose transfer, from them to mission. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. Epictetus. Here's the pivot that changes everything, my friends. Energy never disappears, it only moves. If it isn't fueling your mission, it's feeding your memory. Purpose transfer is the art of taking the electricity that once powered arguments, late-night refresh loops, and what-if spirals, and plugging it into training, skill, contribution, and peace. You don't get over them by waiting for time to pass. You outgrow the loop by giving your days a direction heavier than your history. Imagine your mind as a powerful river that's been flooding the wrong fields. Every hour you spent rehearsing old conversations, every scroll to see if they watched your story, every paragraph defending your worth. That was water, unstoppable and expensive, washing crops that will never feed you. Purpose transfer is you digging channels. You lift the shovel, you set the banks, and you irrigate the ground that grows your future. The body you live in, the craft you offer, the money you manage, the spirit that steadies you. When the river finds a path, the flood ends by physics, not by force. You might ask, why is this so hard if it's so simple? Because the nervous system confuses stimulation with meaning. Rumination is stimulation. The body reads the ping of a message like a tiny lightning bolt and calls the shock importance. Dark psychology gives us a name, the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished loops beg for attention. We're not going to finish the loop by begging for closure. We're going to close the loop by building a life that no longer needs the answer. Marcus Aurelius hands you the tool. Direct your thoughts where they can do work. When you feel the itch to check, you check in with a rep. When you feel the urge to text, you text your calendar with a plan. When the movie of the past starts, you stand up and move iron, air, or ink, weights, miles, or words on a page. Let's break a few lies. Lie 1. I'll focus once I get closure. Closure is not a package they deliver. It's a boundary you enforce. The door closes when you stop holding it open. Lie 2. I can chase goals and still keep one eye on them. Split focus is the reason your momentum never compounds. A car with one foot on the brake is not moving, it's burning fuel. Lie 3. If I stop thinking about them, I'm pretending it didn't matter. Number, it mattered, and now it's matter. You're converting it into mass you can lift. Discipline, skill, resilience, wealth, peace. Picture a workshop at dawn. The tools are laid out, the light is clean, and the air smells like sawdust and coffee. That room is your day when purpose leads. You start with the body because the body is the master switch. You put your hands on something you can count. Reps, miles, stretches. Progress you can see quiets pain you can only feel. Then you move to craft. Choose a skill that compounds. Code, design, sales, writing, a certification, a second language, a product you'll ship. Even 30 focused minutes daily separates you from the crowd in 6 months. Add money discipline. Not flashy, just steady. Automate a tiny investment, kill a small debt, build a rainy day fund, learn a marketable offer. Finally, you anchor the spirit. 10 minutes of stillness, prayer, or pen-to-paper honesty resets the dashboard. These 4 pillars, body, craft, money, spirit, are the table your future eats on. Wobble 1, the meal spills. Train all 4, the table holds. Fear will sit beside you and whisper, "What if they come back and you're not available?" Good. You're not a fire station for emotional alarms. What if they think you didn't care? Caring doesn't mean carrying. What if you build and they never see it? That's the victory. The point of building is not to be seen by them. It's to be seen by the man in your mirror and trusted by the life that's on its way. Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Purpose transfer manufactures luck by making you prepared where it counts. There will be days when the past feels louder than the mission. That's when you shrink the goal but keep the streak. 5 push-ups are not impressive, but they are a torch in the dark. 1-page read is not heroic, but it keeps the river moving. $10 transferred to savings will not change your wealth, but it will change your identity. I am a man who moves forward daily. Identity is the real engine. Results arrive after the identity is installed. Use metaphors that stick under pressure. You are a blacksmith. Heartbreak is the furnace. Work is the hammer. Repetition is the rhythm. And your future is the blade. Or this one. You're a pilot with limited fuel. Every circle you fly over yesterday is fuel you cannot spend on your destination. Pick a heading. Even a degree of change traveled long enough lands in a new country. Expect resistance from the world and from yourself. They may poke your calm to see if the old performance returns. Your body may reach for the phone when it's time to reach for the bar. That's not failure. That's the old circuit testing the new wiring. Hold the line with simple rules. No phone until the first pillar is complete. No social loop before the craft block. No spending before the savings transfer. No sleep without a line in the journal about what you learned today. Your standards become the rails. Your day becomes the train. And yes, sometimes the mission will feel boring. That's the best sign you're healing. Drama feels exciting because it is expensive. Boredom is the discount of peace. Learn to love it. The quiet repetition you once mistook for emptiness is the sound of your life being built brick by brick. The contrast effect will do the rest. Past you was scattered and loud. Present, you are focused and quiet. People notice. More importantly, you notice. And that noticing turns into self-trust. Self-trust turns into speed. Speed, held by structure, turns into a life that does not need to announce itself. 6 months from now, what do they see if they ever look? A man defined by mission, not memories. Should regret knock, it will knock on their door, not because you engineered it, but because reality finally put a price on what you used to give away. Your task was never to make them feel anything. Your task was to become someone your future can rely on. Next, we turn pain into policy, emotional alchemy, so the story you survived becomes the standard you live by, and relapses lose their grip. Stay with me, the blueprint is about to get even clearer. Type this to lock it in. Mission over memory. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that your energy now feeds your future, not your past. Number 6. Emotional alchemy. Turn story into standards. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Marcus Aurelius. Here's the hard turn, my friends. Pain is raw ore. Standards are steel. Emotional alchemy is the craft of smelting what happened into rules you live by. Clean, repeatable, unbreakable. You don't heal by retelling the story until it's smooth. You heal by extracting the lesson until it's strong. Think of your past like a fire that scorched the field. Standing there, staring at ash, won't regrow a single blade. But rake the ground, plant new seed, set a fence, and install irrigation, and that same burned soil becomes fertile. The story is not your home. The standard is. Let's make it vivid. Picture a blacksmith's forge. The heartbreak is the furnace. Your attention is the bellows. Every time you replay the scene, you pump air into the fire. It flares, you flinch, and nothing useful is made. Emotional alchemy is when you take the glowing metal from the flame and put it on the anvil. That anvil is your journal, your calendar, your code of conduct. Hammer once. What exact pattern hurt me? Hammer twice. What boundary prevents it? Hammer thrice. What behavior proves I'm living the boundary? Blow by blow, the mess becomes a blade. You might be thinking, but aren't feelings meant to be felt? Yes, feel them fully, and then put them to work. Stoicism never asked you to be stone, it asked you to be sovereign. Epictetus said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Rumination is imagination on a treadmill, sweat with no distance. Standards are the path under your feet, distance with purpose. The switch happens the moment you decide, this emotion is data, not destiny. Let's break the lies that keep the story in charge. Lie 1. If I let go of the story, I let them off the hook. Number. You're not the warden of their consequences, you're the architect of your future. Justice belongs to time. Standards belong to you. Lie 2. Standards make me cold. Wrong. Standards make you consistent, and consistency is how you become safe to yourself and valuable to others. Lie 3. Boundaries push good people away. Boundaries push takers away and attract builders. The ones who stay will thank you for making the rules clear. Now, turn the story into a system. Use the PPP method. Pattern, principle, practice. Pattern, name the precise behavior that harmed you. Not they were toxic, but they used silence to punish. They inverted blame. They demanded instant access while giving none. Principle, write the rule that defends your peace. I don't negotiate inside disrespect. I answer during set hours only. No circular conversations without a plan. Practice. Install the behavior that proves the rule. Mute threads after 8 p.m. One-channel communication only. If there's no concrete request and accountability, I decline the talk. 3 lines per wound. That's the blueprint. Tape it to your wall, put it in your notes, and read it when the old storm tries to come back. Healing is repetition, not revelation. Metaphors to carry when the night gets loud. You are a lighthouse, not a lifeguard. A lifeguard jumps into every wave and drowns with fools. A lighthouse stands, shines, and lets ships steer themselves. Or this, you're a pilot, not a passenger. Passengers argue about turbulence. Pilots read the instruments, change altitude, and land. Your instruments are your standards. Check them and fly. Expect resistance from within and without. Inside, the part of you trained to over-explain will beg for one last speech. Breathe. Marcus again. You always own the option of having no opinion. Choosing no opinion is choosing oxygen. Outside, some will accuse you of being different now. Smile. That's the point. You are different. Governed, not dragged. Chosen, not chased. Steady, not scrambled. Dark psychology can be your label maker here. Contrast effect. Old you versus new you creates a gap others must cross on your terms. Loss aversion. Your clean exit and clean standards make your presence expensive, which reprices your value without a word. Intermittent reinforcement ended. Your consistent non-response to chaos starves the casino that once ate your nights. Still, the heart will ask, what if they change? What if we could make it work? Emotional alchemy doesn't forbid reconciliation, it forbids regression. If change appears, it will meet your standards or it will bounce off them. You don't need to be cruel, you need to be clear. I'm open to conversations built on accountability and observable behavior. Until then, I'm not available. That sentence is a door, sturdy, unlocked, and impossible to kick. Here's a practice that closes the loop each evening. 4 lines in a journal. What pattern tried to recruit me today? What principle guarded me? What practice did I do to prove it? What's the smallest upgrade I'll make tomorrow? That tiny audit turns emotion into engineering. Day by day, self-trust grows. And self-trust is the quiet superpower that makes detachment automatic. You stop trying to detach because your life no longer funds attachment to what hurts you. Look 6 months ahead. The story that once stole your sleep becomes a paragraph you reference to explain a standard. Your calendar looks like a man who respects himself. Workouts logged, skill blocks completed, money managed, stillness honored. Conversations are shorter, cleaner, and kinder. People rise to meet your structure, or they fade. Either way, peace accumulates like compound interest. We're closing this chapter, but the work continues, calm, consistent, adult. You won't be perfect, and you don't need to be. You need to be patterned. Standards catch the days when willpower slips. Policies protect you when emotions surge, and your future, quiet, strong, reliable, thanks you for every boundary you enforce today. Type this to lock it in. Story into standards. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that your pain brought wisdom and that wisdom now governs your life. If this spoke to you, like the video, subscribe to the channel and share this with a brother who needs to hear it today.